I don't think so.
Islamophobic?
I'm a person, no, not at all. I'm a person who happens to be very smart, and I happen to have a certain street sense, and I know where things are going.
So your fellow apprentice contestant, Kwame Omarosa, is a Trump supporter.
Surprise.
I have interviewed a number of black pastors who are Trump supporters.
Yes.
He claims that he's going to get a lot of the African-American vote, and he says African-Americans love him. Do you think he's going to get...
Look, I think that's unrealistic. I think let's talk about the litmus test for racism in America. It's no longer simply, hey, are perceived as racist, that we all have to start to understand based on our history and where we're trying to go as a nation. So I'm not saying there's a racist police or anything like that, but what I am saying is let's realize that, you know, you don't have to go to the extreme to be someone who's kind of fomenting racism in America.
I think America's just way too sensitive over this whole thing. I mean, like, you can't say anything nowadays. Oh, he's racist, he's racist. Look,
I was going to say, easy for you to say, buddy.
Yeah,
so, but listen, I want to ask you this, and you can respond.
I'm the only white guy on site.
Easy for you to say. So listen, this is from the Washington Post. They came up with an article about how the white supremacist movement is seizing on Donald Trump's appeal. Again, Washington Post, a conservative paper, right? Am I wrong? Okay. Here's what they say. They said the national organizer for the Knights Party, a standard bearer for the Ku Klux Klan, told the Washington Post that the KKK, for one, has a new conversation starter at its disposal. It involves, say, walking into a coffee shop or sitting on a train while carrying a newspaper with a Donald Trump headline, providing separatists with an easy way to start a conversation about issues that are important to the dying white supremacist movement. They like an overall momentum of his rallies and his campaign, Pendergrass said, and this is from Rachel Pendergrass, and they like that he is not willing to back down. He says what he believes, and he stands on that. So, the same piece, the founder of the neo-Nazi Stormfront website calls Trump the Great White Hope. Does it disturb you that you have a supporter of that?
I mean,
who's an ally
in
your campaign?
But the thing is there's nut jobs on both sides that may happen to like a particular candidate. I mean, look, you have like Louis Farrakhan, who's well, actually President Obama sat in the pews for years with him. You have Al Sharpton. I mean, these are all people that Obama has been associated with. At some point in the not the pews.
I think he means Reverend.
I was going to say Louis Farrakhan. I remember the president being a Nation of Islam, but there are people who say he is a Muslim. But anyway, go ahead.
President Obama has associated with all these people throughout history or through his history, and nobody called too much to that. And it's like you have some nut jobs that like Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not meeting with this guy. He's not having lunch with him. He's not inviting him to his tower.
Do you think it's fair to blame Donald Trump for, someone at Stormfront or the KKK liking him?
I think the pool of hate in America works like this. Call it, a swamp. You're either draining the swamp or you're adding to the swamp. And I think his language is adding to that swamp. It's adding to, that fever that comes on in America that creates a hatred of immigrants, that plays off of people's fears, and that's a dangerous place. Those are the people who, once again, listen to those dog whistles, and if Donald Trump says it, it makes it okay for me to go out and, bomb a federal building like Timothy McVeigh, because he read, Mein Kampf, and decided that, hey, we needed to foment a race war in America that people were going to stand behind by me bombing a daycare in a federal building.
Right.
That happens, and so I'm not directly linking those, but you're creating that course that creates dangerous action.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing for me. So, because I already know, I don't even have to go on social media.
Right.
I know what's going to be said. Like, you have people here just discussing this. They're going to say, oh my gosh, Don Lemon, I can't believe you're having that conversation about Donald Trump, you racist. And it's like, we're in a conversation.
You're racist to have the discussion.
I'm racist to have the discussion because it's already in the Washington Post. People are saying it. It's out there in the atmosphere. It's part of the conversation.
Bring it out. I mean, one of my favorite.
So what's going on here?
I mean, the thing is,
it's going to be from Trump supporters, by the way.
This is an overly sensitive. Well, I don't know. This is an overly sensitive topic, and race is always sensitive, especially when a white guy talks about it. But I mean, you look at guys like Dave Chappelle. Like, he broke down the walls. Everybody loved it. He was one of my favorite comedians. Just because he would break down the walls, he made fun of everybody.
And he lost it.
He was funny, but you remember why Dave Chappelle left? He left because he felt like people were laughing at him and not with him.
And the pressure was too great.
So once again, it crossed the spectrum where it was like, hey, this is not a racial, hey, we're all in this together.
Everybody liked that guy. It's the thing is he was just breaking down the walls, and that's what Donald Trump is doing here. He's breaking down the traditional walls of understanding of the race topics. He's letting people say, and he's saying what people are thinking.
I thought he was building a wall.
Yeah, he's going to. Yeah, and Mexico's going to pay for it.
I think he's channeling the old school Archie Bunker, you know, that type of discontent that's in America. A lot of people see America changing as sand beneath their feet. Right. You know, the demographics in California becoming majority Hispanic. We have an African-American president. You have people who feel left behind, who are working class whites, who are non-college educated, who are the majority of his supporters, and they feel like the world is changing too fast. And so Donald Trump for them represents a grab to the past. It represents happy days. It represents, you know, a time when America was much more homogeneous, and now you see a world that may be leaving you behind, so you gravitate towards fear.
What we did not talk about, though, is class as well, and I think that plays a big role. Even though Donald Trump is a billionaire.
That's my point on class. You've got white working class people who are who don't have college diplomas celebrating a billionaire who went to Wharton who celebrates the fact that he's more educated than other people.
I gotta go, but I have to say it's the first time I've heard anybody compare Donald Trump to Dave Chappelle. That was the first.
This is a big one. Thank you for your service.
All right. Coming up.